What's up, y'all? It's your girl S to the C Scorpio, S to the C Twerk Goddess. If you new to my channel, please subscribe. Shout out to all my Eastside babies. So today we're gonna be talking about mental health and stigma. I know a lot of times in our community we don't like to talk about mental health because there's so much generational trauma, there's so much transitional trauma. That Blacks or African Americans have experienced. So a lot of times we don't talk about it. People will say things like, "Oh, I'm fine," or if someone has a mental health challenge, they'll be like, "Oh, get over it," or pray about it. It's not that bad, and things of that sort. So my channel, All Things Scorpio, we talk about a plethora of ideas, topics, and things like that. So if you're new to my channel, please stay tuned and subscribe again. Um, so when we talk about mental health, what is it? A lot of times we don't know what it is, right? So it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and it's not just the absence of disease or illness. Um, Mental health is related to the promotion of well-being. So I hope that you all are taking care of yourselves, tapping into your inner self and loving yourself. And the purpose of that is to prevent mental disorders and to prevent treatment and also to prevent rehabilitation. Now, I briefly mentioned how a lot of African Americans have experienced generational trauma. That could also definitely contribute to one's mental health and their mental well-being. And also transitional trauma. So the things that, genetically we have experienced as a culture. So some of the common narratives are that once people show mental health challenges, they never recover. And the reality is that research studies show that most people with mental health challenges or disorders, they do get better and they can make a full recovery. So it's important to keep that in mind as we talk about mental health awareness and well-being, that it's not the end of the road. And, there are solutions to some of these challenges. Another common narrative is that there's no hope for people with mental health challenges. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. There are programs available, there are resources available, there's counseling services, there's therapy sessions, group sessions, family sessions, and things of that sort. So it's important that if you know someone that is experiencing some mental health challenges, that they get the proper help that they need. We've been through a lot in society as a culture, and I feel like it's really important and also imperative that we thrive as a community. I mean, we have a community of some of the most talented, brilliant, resourceful people, and it's just it's devastating when one of us suffers in our community. I feel like we all suffer. So when we talk about stigma, it refers to the attitudes and the beliefs that motivate people to fear, right? So for a lot of times we might see someone from the homeless population on the street, maybe talking to themselves, or just not well groomed, and we'll be like, oh, that person has a mental challenge. And a lot of times society rejects those types of people, and a lot of times society just looks down on those type of people, and they're people too. They come from families too. They may not have the support that you and I may have, but they're still human beings too. So I think it's important in our community that we don't label a person just because they are experiencing a mental health disorder or they're experiencing some challenges. So in our community, a lot of times we're told not to talk about some of our challenges, not to discuss some of our experiences, and whether that's abuse or trauma. A lot of times when abuse happens, it does happen in the home. Unfortunately, it's kind of difficult to be abused by a stranger. So most abuse happens within the family. And so in when we talk about breaking the stigma, a lot of times we're told, oh, don't tell your business, or, keep your mouth shut, or, don't air your dirty laundry and things of that sort. But it's really difficult for someone that is experiencing some mental health challenges to feel safe and to feel comfortable, and even to feel like they have a support system, especially within the family. So we definitely need to break that stigma and create the dialogue so that we can help people, so that we could thrive as a community, because we have been through a lot, again, as I already mentioned. So stigma by association, it refers to the beliefs and attitudes that your family's not to blame, or your family's not responsible for someone's mental health conditions, which that is also the farthest thing from the truth. A lot of times, some mental health conditions are hereditary, they are passed down genetically. Other mental health challenges could be environmental, some could be a result of a traumatic experience. Therefore, some people have PTSD or post traumatic stress disorder. So it's really important that we start to eradicate the stigmatization surrounding mental health, because it's really important in our community. A lot of people within our community have suffered tremendously dealing with mental health challenges and mental health conditions. So when we speak of stigma, where does the term come from? Um, or mental health? Um, well, it just comes from the attitudes and the beliefs within our community. So, again, as I mentioned, a lot of times we shun a person that may be experiencing mental health challenges. A lot of times there may be a feeling of embarrassment within the family. And what I want us to do, guys, is I really want us to stray away from the term crazy when we refer to people dealing with mental health challenges. I am a mental health advocate, and I don't play that. Like, our society has been known to just loosely use that word, crazy. And I don't believe it's fair to the people that are dealing with challenges. Like, you never know someone's story. Even when I see homeless people on the street, I think like, this person has a family, this person came from somewhere, like, they have a background. And a lot of times, some of our homeless population are military veterans. So um, I think it's really important to just be mindful and aware of people that are dealing with mental health challenges, and know that sometimes people that experience these challenges is not of their fault. Like, it's nothing that they did per se. So when we speak about our veterans, um, they served our country, and when they arrive home from their tours or their deployment, we should welcome them with open arms. They're our heroes. But a lot of times, due to the mental health challenges, we look down on them, and, we just call them bad names. And so that's something that we really need to work on. So why is it important to go back and reflect on history? Well, the history surrounding mental health, I mean, is very deep, and it's important to be educated and knowledgeable about, your past or your background, or even your family's background and past, because knowledge is power. And the more that one is empowered, the more, we can resolve certain issues and come up with a lot of solutions. So there are resources available. There's the National Alliance for Mental Health, also known as NAMI. And I'm sure within your state or city, there's programs and services available. So if you know someone dealing with some of these challenges, don't look down on them. Just try to be a listening ear. Don't be judgmental, and just be as supportive as you can. So when we talk about mental health during times of COVID-19, the past, the present, and the future, we deal with things like complex trauma, violence, war, as I mentioned, some of our veterans, immigration, hate crimes, genocide, also suicide has been on an uptick during these challenging times surrounding COVID-19 pandemic. the ideation, the plan, attempt. So if you know someone, there is a national suicide hotline that you could call. I'll try to link some of this information in the description. We also need to address domestic violence in our community, financial abuse, conflict in the family and the community, grief and loss, family and community that we lost during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also changes in our mental health as a result of COVID-19. So, as we look at this global pandemic, a lot of us have not really grasp the concept of like how this can affect one's mental health. For a lot of us, well, globally there were lockdowns. There were stay-at-home mandates. Being subjected to quarantine. Just all the restrictions that we sustained as a nation. So it's really important to be mindful of that. If you know someone that's feeling down or maybe going through depression, it's really something to look at as we talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, because a lot of the issues surrounding the whole lockdown and pandemic have contributed greatly to the decline of people's mental health. So it's really important that we just are aware, and I think that's the first step in acknowledging and taking the steps to heal internally and be mindful of mental health and well-being, is to just acknowledge that, there is some challenges in society, and people are suffering, right? So how do we eliminate stigma and promote resilience? Well, we're all resilient because we've all have dealt with this situation for the past couple of years, and we've had to utilize whatever strengths that we have to overcome and just thrive during this time. And although a lot of people have lost their lives, although a lot of people have lost their livelihoods due to businesses shutting down, and again, people passing away in their families, and people losing their jobs, people feeling insecure because of food shortages and things of that nature. Although there is a stigma and we're working on breaking that, it does not allow us the access to use our power, our strengths. And so we need our own narratives of power and strength. So we need to definitely change our narratives. And so I just wanted to come to you today and just drop a little bit about, mental health and stigma and awareness, because it's something that you'll keep hearing about, especially within the African American community. Especially on this channel, I touch on a lot of different topics, but this one is really important to me because I am an advocate for mental health. I'm a mental health advocate. And so I think it's important that we thrive as a community, as a society, and just uplift each other and work on goals that support that. All right. So that concludes this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for more videos. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you check out some of the information in my description. Yeah, talk to you soon. Love you guys.